Hello everybody, I hope everybody's okay. Thanks to those people that are still subscribed to my channel. I know I haven't really made any videos in the past couple months. I've been repairing stuff but not really making videos. I kind of lost interest in my channel, to be honest. But I hope to get some more videos done in the future. The video you're going to see now, I actually found on my computer. I found about 10 different videos, and I think I might put 2 or 3 up. It's a video that I made when I was working on a Marantz 2215B. What had happened is I had a problem with basically I think it was called a loudness monitor board, because I had injected a square wave into the receiver, and the square wave was, well, not square when it came to the tone board, so I knew the problem would be before that. And this kind of just shows the way I went about troubleshooting this and what the actual problem was. Now, some of the video sequences are missing because they were corrupted for some reason or another. What I did is I went ahead and wrote a little bit of text before some of the video sequences, so you kind of get an idea of what I did. And if it's in any way confusing, I apologize for that. So again, for those that have been still subscribed to my channel, I am sorry about not producing any videos, and I also wasn't able to answer comments all the time. I get all kinds of comments, and well, some I answer, some I don't. It just depends. So okay, now what you're going to see now is that previous video, which goes about, I think, about 10.5 minutes long. Thanks for watching. What we're looking at here is a square wave going into the tone board and the square wave leaving the tone board. The top waveform is going into the tone board, and of course the bottom square wave is leaving the tone board. Now, if we look at the top square wave, you notice it's not straight, and it's actually supposed to be straight, or actually supposed to be square. And I'm feeding the square wave into the aux input, and I think from there it goes through some switches and what's called the loudness and monitor assembly board, and from there it goes to the tone control board, and also I think the volume control is in there too. So what I have to do now is disconnect the square wave generator, look at the signal with the scope, and make sure it's square, because it could be a problem, of course, with the function generator. So I'll go ahead and do that. Here we can see I have the oscilloscope probes hooked up to the input of the tone board. There's the old function generator. It's a B&K 3020 sweep function generator, and it's on a 1000 hertz, basically, or putting out a 1000 hertz square wave. Here I'm feeding the output of the function generator into a direct probe, which is of course attached to the oscilloscope. And here's the waveform actually looking as it should, nice and square. Actually, now might be a good time to check the input from the other channel. Let me just go ahead and hook up the scope real quick, and we'll take a look at that waveform. So it's actually only one of the channels and not both of them. And here's that input right there, which would be JE02. So that, I think, would be the right channel. Of course, this is a copy of the tone board schematic. Well, we'll just go ahead and start at the back here. I've got the probe here hooked up to a ground, and then I'll go ahead and up here connect the probe to one side and then to the other side. And the way it looks like, the waveforms are good. Now we'll take a look at the waveforms, and I've got the scope on one input and then the scope on the other input, and both are looking good. Now that top waveform, that's the one going into the tone board, and the bottom one, the blue one, was actually coming in from the back of the receiver. And again, looks like they're both actually good. Both channels are good up to there. Okay, here's kind of like a block diagram, and I think right now my scope is right here and right here, and the JEO2, that was the bad waveform, and that's coming here from the tape monitor and loudness board. So I'm going to go ahead and check what's coming into the tape monitor and loudness board, which is up here, what I'm pointing at, JT01 or 01, or it's JT02. So I'll go ahead and put the oscilloscope probes right across there. Again, this is coming into the loudness and tape monitor board. Here's the actual printed out schematic of that, and it says here the loudness and monitor assembly, and over here are the inputs, JT01 and JT02. And let's look at where they're actually at on the board. And the service manual even has the component locations, and it's pretty easy to find. Here goes JT01 and JT02. That's both the left and the right channels. So we'll go ahead and hook up the scope there. Now I've actually got the probe hooked up to that board here, to one of the input pins, which I'm pointing at here. This is the scope probe, and I will go ahead and do both channels. Okay, there's one channel, and here's the other channel. Both the inputs to that loudness and monitor board are okay, both of the waveforms. Now I've got the scope probes hooked up to the input of the tone board, and I'm going to look and see what comes before that. So of course I think the selector switch, which switches between aux phono. So if I go ahead and move this out of the aux position, actually, okay, that comes before that. What I'm trying to do is figure out from this point here, from the input of the tone board, which boards, controls, switches come before that. And I'll go ahead and use the volume control, comes before that too. And we've got a monitor switch. Okay, and we have a loudness switch. Okay, when I'm hitting that loudness switch here, notice that right here. I'm actually manipulating the loudness switch, and Right there, I've got it off now. It's off again. So I think what I should go ahead and do is clean that. I'm going to go ahead and clean that loudness switch, because I think there seems to be a problem with that. Okay, let me go ahead and do that next. Now here's the actual switches I was just using. Down here is the monitor switch. This is the loudness, which looks like it's giving me some problems, and this is the volume control. All these are before the tone board. So let me go ahead and see if I can't spray any contact cleaner in the switch and then see what happens. Okay, now just hit the loudness switch again, and you can see here evidently we've got a problem. I'm just going to use this, press this a bunch of times. Okay, let me go ahead and, that's what we want here. Let me go ahead and spray something in there, maybe that helps. We want a nice and square wave. Sometimes problems will just clear themselves up if you use the switches often enough. You know, if you just press on it a bunch of times and it gets rid of any oxidation. But this seems to be doing what it actually wants, so better go ahead and spray something in there. Now what you're looking at here is the square wave after I cleaned all the controls and the switches again. Especially I sprayed the loudness control, and at first I thought I couldn't get enough contact cleaner in there, but I guess it worked now. I would have hated to take that thing apart, so at least that took care of this problem. What you're looking at now is the input to the tone control board.